Hello to everybody from Tiverton Bead and Wool Shop again, and this video will be more about me, who I am, where I come from, why I like knitting, instead of kind of knitting tutorials. Yeah, because a lot of people ask me, I can't hide my accent even though I'm nearly 18 years here in England, in the south of England, but I can't hide my accent. I still don't pass as a local, and I don't think I ever will. But yeah, I'm from Latvia, and Latvia is up north. Our knitting influences and a lot of craft influences come from Scandinavia. We call ourselves more Scandinavian. We would like to be kind of more, say that we have Scandinavian influences. So, and I will later on show you as well what I'm working on. But yeah, I started knitting just because my grandma was teaching me. And we did had actually home science or something like that at school. And I do remember, I think I was between 10 and 12 years old when in school we were taught three-color knitting, and we were knitting our traditional mittens. And I think I did succeed. I even did wear them. So I did finish a pair. And how we were knitting those days, like years ago, was I think I had a pair of knitting needles which were made out of wire, and the yarn, well, we had something. We had old jumpers which we took apart and then we reknitted sometimes dyed in some other color. And I do remember my first jumper, which was this color red. You can see I'm a bit partial, maybe it comes from those days, but I think I would estimate I was around 10 to 12 years old when I was knitting my first jumper. And as it was early 80s, the style obviously was very simple. It was straight up sleeves, and and I know it was red because I dyed the wool, and I had picked kind of off-white jumper, country jumper, and I reknitted it in a square red jumper. And I had a little V shape in the front doing by yarn overs. I made a little line of holes, and in that V shape I did tie a little bow with pom-poms, and I do remember wearing that jumper. That is my first memory with my proper knitting. The second jumper comes like there is a lot of history involved, and like I said, we didn't have much choice. There was no yarn shops as such, and we all kind of, everything was worked and reworked or picked apart. And same applies to the patterns. We didn't have patterns like that. That's why my kind of attitude to patterns is pattern is the guideline. Pattern is not a law. And if I see somewhere in a catalogue jumper which I like, I always try to analyze, oh, could I knit that one, or can't I knit that one? Oh, is it difficult? Or what shape it is? Because our knitting, and I will show you something, and if my mother is watching, now she will know where her magazines have gone. And this is the magazines. You can see the age of them. Can you see how yellow are the magazines? These magazines were like a gold dust on our days. And as you can possibly see, they are in German. They are East German knitting magazines. Because we had a family friends, or like nowadays in England, you have twinning towns. So we had this kind of twinning friends in East Germany, and they were very, very lovely couple. And it was always, comes Christmas, they were always sending us parcels. And what do you want? All my mother wanted was fashion magazines, because of course we were making all our clothes as well. We were sewing, and because we just didn't have anything else. So, and these German fashion magazines, my mom still has a stash, so I only have two. And this particular one is very close to my heart. The fact is, even though I learned German in school, I can read this magazine, but it doesn't mean I understand what it says. But in this magazine is my second jumper's pattern, which is here on this page which has fallen out. And my second jumper I knitted in this pattern. And when I saw it, I thought, like, I have to have it with me. I have to take this one to England. And this one actually is, oh, there I can see the date. Is magazine issue number 3, 19 1979. So this is nearly qualifying as antique. And the jumper I was trying to replicate, which was my second jumper, was this beautiful number. But as I couldn't read the proper description, I could only understand the stitches, and there was a pictorial explanation what it means. So my jumper was not looking exactly like that, but it used that pattern. And the wool was something which, when we went to see our friends in East Germany, we bought, or they gave me the wool, I must admit. And my mother was very kind of huffing and puffing, but it was, I would say, from my memory, between chunky and super chunky, pale pink. And I would say it possibly was 100% acrylic. But I knitted my pink jumper again. It was square, like 80s, like straight box sleeves in that pattern, lacy pattern, and I was proud. I really loved my jumper. I wore it for years, and yeah, so that's my first kind of knitting memories. And then of course life progresses, and you get through your life, I think around between my age of 20 to 35, I was doing a lot of other crafts. I finished design college. My hands never been idle, but the knitting has gone on a back burner because there were all sorts of other things and work and travel and involved in life. You know, life interferes with your knitting. It's terrible. But now here, I started the shop with beads only, and even that was kind of, beads firstly were sideline. But then the crafting part has taken over, and then we introduced, now it would be like, how many years ago now? I think it's over 5 years ago when we introduced wool to the shop. And it's a totally new world. The beauty and quality you can nowadays get in the yarns is absolutely mesmerizing. And of course, now I knit quite a bit, mostly for the shop and shop samples. But now and then I get carried away with things for what I think I would like to do. And there is something which I would like to show you, and I have forgotten to take it with me, so just bear with me. I will be back in a sec. So I'm back, and this was a book which I have on the shelf. Does it show you in a mirror image? It says Knit Like Latvian, and this one is really cool book. When I saw it from distributors, I thought I have to have it. And remember, I mentioned to you that we were taught in a school how to knit mittens, and even though we come from quite cold country, we have very severe winters, and we use a lot of wools, but in our national costumes and history, everything is wool, but it's not knitted. It's more woven wool product. What is knitted is socks and mittens, and that's where we go into town. This book is a great book for beginners. Beginners in the meaning that for people who would like to start to do Fair Isle or try to start to knit like a Latvian. And you can see there is beautiful, beautiful Fair Isle objects. The beauty in this book as well is that in the beginning there is explanation how to do things. Because like I say, this one is a good for people who would like to be having a go to knit like Latvian. And now I will show you the book which is my reference book for knitting like a Latvian. See the size of it? And this book is something which a few years ago has finally come out, and this book I use for all pattern references. If I ever want to do anything with Fair Isle, I just pick these patterns apart. And the beauty in this book is the one side gives you a chart, the other side is actually life-size picture of real mitten. But don't get too carried away, because it's very difficult to find the right thickness of proper country wool, because some of these works, let's say, people who know knitting and knitting yarns, the tension in 4 inches or 10 centimeters standard 4-ply yarn is around 24 to 26 stitches. Some of them you can get 28 stitches in 4 inches, or which is 4 inches basically is half of your mitten, isn't it? Some of these patterns have 60 stitches in 10 centimeters or 4 inches, so you need to be very careful. But like I say, I use this one for my reference now if I ever want to do something. Oh, and I will try to find, because I have started my mittens and you can see how fine, and these ones I'm using Malabrigo sock yarn and Drops a 4-ply alpaca, because I wanted it slightly softer. I didn't want it too country feel, but you can see the mitten does come out quite large. If I even put my arm there, you can see it's quite reasonable size. So at the moment I'm thinking, do I need to redo it on a finer yarn, or can I continue? And there, what I wanted to show you, there is the book. So that's what I'm working on now. Oh yeah, and then of course we have little tweaks like Latvian plaits. Can you see there the little kind of plait there on the bottom? If you are interested, comment on the video below, and I might one day film a video how to knit a Latvian plait from Latvians. This one, which you have seen in some previous videos, is again one project which I have started, but I have kind of hit a little bit of creative dilemma. But all these patterns, I have taken the bits out of my reference book and transformed and changed for this one, which should be the cardigan, and I think I will work on it. At the moment I'm in a process of thinking, what do I do with it? And I know you think like, well, there is no opening, how it could be cardigan, but this one is the one where I wanted to do the Norwegian steeking, and as you can see there is my steeking lines in there. But this one, that's armhole holes starting. But at the moment I have gone to the point when I need to decide what to do next, and I'm in consideration because this one doesn't comply 100% with the vision I had. You know, we all have visions. So yeah, so I'm keeping knitting. And I think the most important thing which I would like to put across is, when I started, and I think that's kind of possibly it's a generational thing, when I started we knitted because we needed to. If you wanted a nice jumper, or you wanted something different, or even if you wanted a jumper at all, it's same like here. A lot of people's memories of knitting, or when they think about knitting, is about school jumpers. The grandma knitted cheap school jumpers. Nowadays, knitting has transformed, and it has transformed itself to beautiful, beautiful hobby, a beautiful creative hobby, where you can express yourself, your love of color, your understanding of or passion for color, for patterns, for creativity. Don't limit yourself with thinking that it's same like sometimes when people come in and they are first-time grandmas and they say, oh, I want to knit for the baby. The question is, do you knit for the baby because the baby will need a cardigan? Or do you knit for this baby because you would like to show your love? You would like the warmth to be transfer your feelings to that baby, to buy the best you can, to make the best you can, instead of just, oh, the baby needs cardigan. We don't need anything nowadays, do we? But we want something nice, we want something different. Well, at least I do. So, as I say, this video possibly is about me and how I feel about things. But I will stop rattling around because this is kind of going quite long. And yeah, I hope to see you soon. If you like this video, or if you have any questions, do comment below. And of course, if you like it, then do press like, because we all want to be liked. So see you all soon.